Hi everybody, welcome to Sensei Steve Says, hosted by Shiage Do Martial Arts. So one of the things that has come up during this quarantine is a few people have come to me asking how do they get themselves to be better, whether it's at the martial arts or just their fitness goals. So I wanted to take today to kind of go over some stuff that I know that I found out, just to see if it's any use to any of you. So I'm going to start this off with a disclaimer. I'm not a certified personal trainer. I'm not certified really in anything other than teaching karate, and the fact that I've been doing it forever. Martial arts is if you are serious about doing the martial arts, if you are serious about being competitive in the martial arts, that makes you a performance athlete. Okay. What I know comes from me doing a ton of research online, so that I could meet my own goals and experimenting with my own body. So how I eat, what I eat, how I work out, where I work out, what kind of workouts I do, how often, that kind of stuff. These are things that I've done for myself. I've been to a bunch of training programs where other people, kicked my butt. And that's where most of my information comes from. So I'm going to put this out there as mostly my opinion, things that I found that have worked for me and things that I've seen work for other people. But I'm not an expert by any means. So if something piques your interest, please go research it, figure it out, uh, test it if it's safe on yourself to see if it works for you. If it doesn't, you can drop it. If it does, keep it. That's kind of what we're going to start with. So today, the first thing I want to talk about is setting your goals. All right, setting realistic short-term and long-term goals. Now everybody's got one of these, right? Whether it's you want six-pack abs, or you want, biceps the size of a small truck, or whether it's functional and you want to be able to jump 3 feet in the air, or you want to be able to hop a 6-foot fence, or you want to be able to, do a mile in 5 minutes, or you want to be able to run a marathon in whatever. Those are functional goals, and then there's aesthetic goals, which were the first couple, the six-pack and stuff. Whatever you want it to be, right? But the important thing is you create that goal. Now, for me, personally, I had a functional goal. My functional goal is I wanted to be able to compete competitively in contact tournaments, contact karate tournaments. That takes a very specific kind of fitness. I need to be able to be strong and have a consistent weight, and I also need it to be able to keep my speed, and I can't be encumbered by slow muscles, and I need to have pretty good endurance. Additionally, because it's a contact sport, I need to build up my conditioning so that my body gets used to taking those hits. Now that's not going to be the same for everybody. For instance, keeping it in the karate world, if you want to be a point fighter, right, you want to go to point fighting matches and compete in those and do really well, then you need to focus more on speed and endurance more than strength. Because honestly, if you're stopping your back fist before you hit somebody in the head, you don't necessarily need to be that strong. You need to be fast, and you need to be able to do that for a while. To be able to throw 100 roundhouse kicks in a 2-minute match takes stamina. Okay, so that's a totally different thing than point fighting, or than contact fighting. Your goals could be different. You could be wanting simply just to be able to handle yourself in a fight, and to know that your martial arts is going to work for you. Well, if that's the case, then really what you want to be doing is getting as strong and as fast as possible. Some people just want to lose weight. They do martial arts for the fitness aspect, and really they're just trying to scrape the last 5 or 10 pounds off their frame, and that's what they want to do. They don't care, if their karate works for them in the real world or not. They enjoy the community of it, they enjoy the whatever of it, but they want, they're just hoping to get in a little bit better shape. And then there's the people who are like the CrossFit guys who want everything, right? So the first part is creating your goal, figuring out what it is, okay? So I kind of talked through a couple of them and what they require, but once you have your goal, write it down, okay? I love using whiteboards. I have a couple of them in my house. You write your goal right on top. It says, my goal is whatever. And then what you do is you figure out what exactly you need for that. So again, we're going to pull apart my goal. I'm just going to talk through those parts of it. So my goal is to be competitive in contact fighting. Okay. So I need to be able to be strong. I want to be pound for pound strong. Okay. So I need to keep my body mass low. I need to keep my strength high. I need to keep my speed up, and I need to have good endurance. Okay. The second part of that, once you create your goal and you figure out the parts of it, then we move on to workout creation. Okay, so how do you work out to get towards your goal, right? To make you the most successful. There are 3, I'm going to call it primary ways of training, right? You have your calisthenic exercises, which are all just body weight exercises. That can be pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, mountain climbers, jumping jacks, squats. Most of this stuff is going to be the stuff that you see in the warm-ups of my classes, okay? They don't require equipment. They scale up with your body type, right? And the easiest way to make to measure strength is how many you're doing, right? If I do 5 push-ups today and 6 push-ups tomorrow, I'm getting stronger, all right? If I do 50 push-ups today and 100 push-ups tomorrow and 150 push-ups after that, that's a lot. I'm probably going to be straining my muscles, but my body mass determines how hard that push-up is for me. I weigh about 200 pounds. It fluctuates a little bit depending on what kind of experimentation I'm doing at the time, what my diet looks like and stuff like that. I'll get to diet in a minute. But I weigh about 200 pounds. My fighting weight, where I like to be when I'm fighting, is 192 pounds. That is not an arbitrary number. That is the lightest that I can get my frame to be and still stay comfortable. I could shave off more pounds. I know that I can. The lightest that I've weighed in doing this is 185, but I'm just not comfortable. My body's always sore. There's always feels like something's lacking, and I don't feel like I have the energy or the strength that I really need. And that 7 pounds doesn't seem like a lot, right? But 7 pounds can make a huge difference, but just in, how much you're running around. Think about it this way, right? This is only 5 pounds. But if I took a dumbbell and stuck it in my shirt and walked around with it all day, that's going to start making a big difference in how I function. And it might not feel like a lot, but I'll tell you what, if you go run, 10 miles and then you take this thing out and then you try to run one more, you'll definitely feel the difference. So remember that being a martial artist is being a performance athlete, okay? I have a specific goal. My matches might only be 10 minutes, but I might have to do 4 of them in a row, right? So I also need to have some injury mitigation in there. When I'm creating my workouts, so we have our calisthenics are the first one. The second one's going to be resistance training. Resistance training is using weights. Resistance training tends to build bigger, stronger, but slower muscle, okay? Calisthenics tend to make leaner, faster muscle, okay? They're both strong, but they're different, okay? It just how you get to them is different. The last one is cardio. Cardio is, actually there's 4, I'm thinking about it. So cardio is keeping your heart running for a long time. So getting it up to a higher pace and then just burning at that level for a long time. That takes a lot of just raw energy. Okay, you need to have a good diet. I'll get to that again in a minute. But you have to have a good diet, and you have to have your heart in shape so that it can beat at that higher rate. Okay, one of the things you'll notice when you get to that level, especially if you wear like a fitness tracker, this is a Fitbit that I wear. It does a heart rate tracking, is your resting rate will start falling. Okay, be careful with that too. If that gets too low, it starts doing wonky things. So pay attention to your heart rate so that you know what's normal and what's not. The last one, and the one that I just thought of here, was isometric training. Isometric is where you're pushing and pulling at the same time. It's kind of related to both calisthenics and resistance training, because you're providing resistance with your body weight. Basically, you're doing it to yourself. So when we talk about Sein-Chin and doing isometrics, or Sanshin and doing isometrics, basically I'm pushing with my bicep pushing with my tricep and pulling with my bicep at the same time, so that I have a very slow, exaggerated motion. Okay, it's effectively the same thing. It's finding something that you absolutely can't pick up, like a bar chained to the floor, and pulling against it as hard as you can. Okay, what that's going to do is basically the same thing as your resistance training of building that bigger, stronger, slower muscle, right? But you can do it without any equipment. An example of that is when bodybuilders pose, when they do their flexes and stuff, they're typically doing isometrics to show off all of the different muscles they have. But you can use some of those poses as a workout if you don't have equipment, or just whatever. A couple of my favorites are pushing your arms together as hard as you can, and then pulling them apart is going to work your pecs and your back. Little things like that. When you're creating a workout, what you want to do is balance your workout with your goals. So, for instance, for my goal, I need some muscular strength, but I need to keep my muscles lean. So the majority of what I'm going to do is calisthenic exercises with some strength resistance exercises that focus on specific muscles, right? The ones that I need to be the strongest are going to be my bicep and tricep for my punches, my lats also for my punches, my quads and my hamstrings for my kicks, and my abductors and adductors, right? My abdominals that let me do my turning kicks and side kicks and stuff like that. So a typical workout for me, a couple times a week, is going to focus on different things. I might do arms one day, back and shoulders the next. I might skip a day from lifting or hard exercising and do a cardio run, just to keep that fat mass on my body lower and to build up my cardio at the same time. Then I might do a leg day. I personally love doing leg day cardio. It feels terrible, but I feel like I get a lot of good results from that. And then I give my legs a chance to rest. So it's basically working my legs 3 days in a row and then giving them a chance to rest by going back to arms or core or something like that to kind of break it up. This is the second part of your workout creation. When you're creating your workout, there's a million different places online you can get them that tell you, so you don't even have to try to make up, okay, I need to do 10 bicep curls and 10 Arnold presses and 10 shoulder whatevers. You can look that up. But what you're looking for is to spread out what muscles you're working. When you work out, your muscles basically you're breaking them down. Okay, so they get this kind of like dip in performance. They're sore. They're not going to be as strong. So let's put it this way: if I do 100 push-ups right now, pound them out, boom, 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 100 push-ups. My triceps and my pecs are going to be a little bit sore. And you can mod this to whatever, but I'm saying for me, 100 push-ups doesn't take me that long. later today, when my muscles are still broken down, if I tried to do 100 push-ups again, it's going to take me longer because my muscles are still in that broken down repairing state. I can tell because they're still sore. If I wait till tomorrow, my arms may have recovered, but my pecs and back tend to be a little bit slower for me personally. So if I do 100 push-ups today, and let's say it takes me 2 minutes, right, just for argument's sake. And if I did it later today and it took me 4 minutes, all right, because it would just be more difficult. If I didn't do it later today, instead of waiting till tomorrow, maybe it takes me 2 minutes and 5 seconds. I'm most of the way recovered, but not quite. If I wait till the next day after that, so I do 100 push-ups today, I skip a day to rest, maybe I do sit-ups instead, and I do go back to these push-ups. Now, instead of taking 2 minutes, maybe it takes a minute 55, right? So basically what's happening is my body's going to break down, but once it comes back, it's going to get a little bit stronger, right? Now, if I just leave that alone, it's going to fall back to its normal rate. It's going to atrophy. Okay, so if I'm not using these muscles, if I don't work out constantly, my muscles will start to atrophy and my overall strength will start to go down. Let's put it this way. So the One Punch Man Challenge, one of my favorites to do. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 bodyweight squats, and a 10K every day for 30 days. If you do that straight through, by the end of it, you're going to be able to pound all of those out very quickly. Now, if you take a week off from that, you will probably be able to do your push-ups, sit-ups, and squats in approximately the same amount of time as you did at the end. If you take 2 weeks off, it's going to be about probably 5% slower. If you take 3 weeks off, it's probably going to be about 20% slower. All right, and if you take more than, let's call it 2 months, if you take 2 months off after doing that challenge, you're going to be back at the beginning. If you do no other workouts. The reason that happens is your muscles will atrophy if you don't keep them in a working state. With that being said, we go back to our push-up example. I do 100 push-ups today, I take a day off, I do 100 push-ups the day after that. That gives me a time for my muscles to rest and that time to do something else, right? So if you think about it, my push-ups are going to use my triceps, my pecs, and my back, right? A little bit of my core, but the core is not really what I'm working out. So if I do 100 push-ups, I can do the rest of my arm workout, bicep curls, and lat raises, and lat pull down, or deltoid raises, and lat pull downs, and whatever else you got working to crush your arms. And then tomorrow, if I do abs, and the day after that I do legs, and then I come back to arms again, I'm still going to be at that spot where my body had a chance to heal what needed to be healed. And now I'm going to be at just a little bit higher. Finding that point is going to be up to you. Okay, I can't tell you where it is. I know for me, my arms take about a day. My core takes a day and a half. My legs take about a day. What that means for me is if I do a hardcore workout where I'm doing, just crushing sit-ups and V-sits and Russian twists and all that stuff, I need not just a day, but I need a little bit more than a day, right? I need to, if I work out at 6 in the morning, I need to push that workout back to 6 at night to be able to crush that core workout again, to be able to take advantage of getting a little bit stronger. If I rush it, then it's going to be less effective for me. All of that's going to be up to your body and you to determine where that actually sits. Now, if you get your workout and you get it all dialed in, right? So let's say it this way. So for me, I do a couple workouts a day. So on Mondays, I do a calisthenic workout and a resistance workout, primarily my arms. On Tuesdays, I do a cardio workout, and then I do a calisthenics workout, primarily on my core. Then on Wednesdays, I do a cardio workout and a resistance workout, primarily on my legs. Thursday, so now what we have is I'm kind of mixing them and matching as I go. So I've had 2 cardio days in a row, so I'm going to give that one a rest. I haven't had calisthenics more than 2 days in a row, so I gave that one a rest on Wednesday. So I'm going to go back to calisthenics and resistance. Now at this point for me, I can go back to arms. So I'm going to do calisthenics focusing and resistance, probably both focusing on arms. Friday, I'm going to do cardio only to give my body a chance to relax a little bit and to do that. But that's going to be probably my long run. So if you're used to marathon training, you do a couple short runs, maybe like a 40-minute run, a 40-minute run, a pace run for 30 minutes where you're running at your marathon pace, but it's a little bit shorter distance. And then you do your long run where it doesn't matter how fast you go, you're just running forever. So maybe it's an hour and a half or 2 hours, double the length of my other run, but I can go slower. And then Saturday, when, I try to have for, other things, I try to get my other stuff going on, my house projects and such. That one's going to be my quick workouts. I'll probably do, a quick calisthenics and maybe a in-depth stretching. Stretching is very important. If you always work out and you never stretch, what's going to happen is you're going to start noticing limited mobility. Your joints and stuff aren't going to be as flexible. You're not going to be able to fully extend certain things. You start getting calcium deposits in weird places, and that's why some people just can't bring their hands up here, is because they get calcium deposits in their shoulders, and that starts blocking their shoulders from making a full circle. So I usually spend a good chunk of a stretching day, and then Sunday is a rest day. Now rest days are also very important because you want to give your body a chance to do nothing. Now for rest, you can do this a couple ways. You could do nothing, or you could do active recovery, which is what I prefer to do. That's where it's not necessarily like a focused workout, but you have something just getting your heart rate up a little bit, moving around, getting the blood flowing through your muscles and stuff that are sorest. So that's going to be taking a long walk, maybe a light-paced bike ride, getting in the kayak and going out on the water for a little bit, something simple like that. Nothing that's going to be like exhausting you or exhausting your muscles, just something passive and slow and steady that you can do to get that blood flowing back through your body. So you have your goals, we have our workouts for those goals. Now you have to worry about what are you eating. So for performance athletes, generally there's 2 schools of thought. And I've tried both of them, and I know which one works better for me. One of them is you eat a large number of small meals throughout the day to keep your blood sugar reasonably stable, okay? Where basically you're eating something every 3 hours or so, and you're eating 5 or 6 meals throughout the day. And it's going to be a meal replacement shake, some fruit, some vegetables, some small like burger kind of deal where it's a lean meat. I'm not talking like a McDonald's burger. I'm talking about like you press a burger together, low fat, or a small chicken steak or something like that, where you're getting pockets of calories throughout the day, so your body always has something coming into it. Intermixed with that, you're drinking a ton of water. Obviously, your water intake depends on your size. For me, I found that a good spot for me is about 1 gallon a day. I am one of those guys that walks around with a gallon jug, but I try not to. I make it look different. I don't just use the same gallon jug all the time. But yeah, that works, right? If you have a big jug of something and that kind of gives you a visual representation of, okay, I got half left. Okay, I got a quarter left. I gotta finish this. And it tells me that I need to finish it before, going to bed for the night. So in those pockets of nutrition, right, it's spreading out you're eating smaller portions. The other side to that is how your body functions with that. So basically what's happening when you always have energy coming in, your body tries not to transfer any of it to fat because it knows that there's just more coming in. The other side of things is the intermittent fasting, which is what I found works best for me. Intermittent fasting is where you spend a period of time not eating and then a period of time eating. Generally, you start to see the benefits of fasting somewhere around the 15 to 16 hour mark. For me, when I am doing my hard fasts, I do 20 hours of fasting and 4 hours of eating. What that basically means is I'm eating an entire day's worth of calories in a 4-hour period and then letting my body balance out my blood sugar throughout the day, because I'm not triggering any insulin responses throughout the day. So I can have like coffee and black tea, things like that are going to, I can put water in my stomach, stuff like that, but that's not stuff that's going to trigger an insulin response like eating will. Keeping the insulin response down tends to get your body to burn stored fat more readily. But if you're not careful with it, especially with working out a lot, you stand to suffer from low blood sugar, suffering from ketosis, where your body actually starts eating the protein from your muscles to fuel the rest of your body. So you have to really pay attention to that, really be careful with that. But I found as long as I'm eating my calories that I've set for myself during the day, I don't notice any of those negative effects. And I tried that for a year, and it actually worked out pretty well for me. So what are you eating? So a couple things are staples. The first thing you want is a multivitamin. Multivitamins basically give you the nutrition of eating things that are good for you without having all the calories of eating things that are for you, right? So it's kind of like an insurance policy for your muscles. If you have these vitamins sitting in your system ready to go, your body's less likely to cannibalize your muscles and stuff like that in order to go find them. You're going to want some kind of protein shake. When you run your body down, protein is what it needs to bring it back up. For performance athletes, what I found works well for me is about a gram per pound. I have heard all ends of the spectrum. I've tried a couple of them. I've heard a gram per kilo, which is 2.2 pounds. I've heard 2 grams per pound. I guess it depends on what it is you're trying for. For me, trying to keep the lean muscle mass, a gram per pound works perfectly. And as long as I'm within about 10 to 15 grams in a day, that's going to be good. The other 2 big macronutrients that you want to pay attention to are your fats and your carbs. You need carbs to be able to burn energy. If you're doing workouts, you need carbs. The other thing you need is fats. Your body uses fats to rebuild itself. It's an insulator, it's a lubricator, it does a bunch of stuff like that. So it helps keep your body flowing smooth. You can't cut fat out of your diet and expect to be a performance athlete. You will feel like garbage. You need fats, you need carbs, you need protein. Finding the specific balance for you is going to be just that. It's a balance, okay? Do some research, figure out what's going to be the best for you. But as I said, what I found works spectacularly for me is a gram per pound of fat or of protein. So I eat about 200 grams of protein a day. Additionally, when I drink my gallon of water, and I try to keep it to about 2,800 calories. Now this is going to be the other thing. Conventional nutritionists have determined that a pound of fat or a pound of body weight is approximately 3,500 calories. So, if you want to lose weight, you need to cut your daily intake so that you are burning more energy than you're eating. That's called caloric deficit. If you're burning more than you're eating, you will lose weight. If you are eating more than you're burning, you are going to gain weight. And some people want to gain weight, right? You gain healthy weight, building more muscle and building muscle weight, right? You don't get to be a jacked power lifter by, eating, nothing all day. You just can't do it. You need to have more energy than you're burning. And it needs to be healthy. Cut out your processed foods, your processed sugars, your white bread. Try for the less processed options. Your wheat bread, your raw sugars, your stuff like that. If you have to have that stuff in your diet, just because of what you're eating, how you're eating, or maybe it's not you buying the groceries, right? You want to try to cut as much of that stuff out as possible. You want to try to keep the number of steps of processing to a minimum. AKA, don't be eating Cheetos because it's all processed and they're bad for you. All right? Once in a while, maybe. All the time, no. Don't do it. The last thing kind of to figure out here, so with nutrition, what you're eating is going to be important, how much you're eating is going to be important, and that's another thing that's like your Fitbit or your fitness tracker really will help you with. If you know what your daily burn average is. So for me, I burn about 3,300 calories a day. Just between my normal workouts, walking around, functioning, and whatever, I burn about 3,300 calories a day. Some days it's way more. Some days it's not, I won't say way less, but it is, I'll get down to like 2,800. I'll get up to 4,000 or 5,000 depending on, how many trees I'm cutting down in my backyard or whatever's going on, right? If I'm working all day hard, obviously that's going to be a lot higher. But for me, in order to, get back down to my fighting weight, I aim for 500 calories less a day, which gives me about a pound a week. So I know that if I sit about 10 pounds above my fighting weight, because you can't stay at your fighting weight, generally it's not maintainable. I know that it takes me 10 weeks to get ready for that. Some of that's going to be water weight, some of it's not, but I like to sit about 10 pounds heavier than my 192. So I like sitting at 202 all the time because there I'm comfortable, I'm athletic, but I can also drop it back down to be super athletic without too much issue. The last thing that I'm going to talk about today, and before I leave you off, is sleeping. Okay, sleeping is a huge part. Now, it's funny coming from me. For those of you guys who know me, I work overnights, which means automatically I don't sleep enough. Okay, but sleep is the third leg. You have your workouts, you have your food, you have your sleep. Sleep is the time that your body takes to recover itself. If you don't sleep enough, your body doesn't recover. It just doesn't have enough time. It can't do it while you're awake to the same extent that it can while you're sleeping. You need that time. So 6 hours is a minimum. When you wake up, you should feel awake and alert, rested, and ready to go. You shouldn't feel sluggish and tired. If you sleep too little or too much, you'll start falling into that sluggish and tired. So if you're training hard for something specific or whatever, you want to try to find that, make sure that when you're doing your workouts, you're sleeping enough. You might find that you need to sleep more because you're breaking your body down more. If you get to, if your body says 10 hours is what I need, then 10 hours is what you need. If your body says 7.5 is what I need, then 7.5 is what you need. Now, unfortunately for me, that usually ends up being 4, which is bad for you. Don't do it. Don't supplement sleep with caffeine. It doesn't work. It's not good for you. All right. But it's the wonder of working nights. So with all that, those are kind of the things that you want to think about when you're doing when you're creating a workout, when you're creating your plan to be able to achieve your fitness goal. Now, one of the things that I do a lot for my students, I put it up on Facebook a lot, is little workout challenges. There's a website called darebe.com, DAREBEE.com. They're phenomenal. They have all kinds of crazy workouts. They're free. They just ask for, it's like Wikipedia. They ask for donations when you can, so that they can pay for their site and their uploading and whatever. But it's ad-free and there's just tons and tons and tons and tons of content. This month, in the month of May, my students were doing an Avatar Challenge workout. There's an Avatar upgrade workout plan. It's 30 days worth of workouts. We've been doing that the whole month. And, you know, honestly, I've been doing those. They feel great. If you're looking for workouts that you can do to kind of get you to where you're going, they have a huge set of workouts. They have suggested nutrition plans to go with those workouts. And honestly, try it. Try it for 30 days. Honestly, you're not going to see, when you do stuff with your fitness, one, keep a notebook and keep a log of everything you're doing, because otherwise it's just guessing and that's worthless, right? So if you keep a notebook of your stuff, of how you're working out, what you're eating, how much you're sleeping, that kind of stuff, it's kind of a pain to log it all. But things like your Fitbit app or My Health Fitness or any of those health tracking apps will help you log all that stuff. That will help you figure out what's working for you and what's not. And if you try some of those plans, you try them for 30 days, you'll see, okay, yep, this is making me feel better. Nope, this is not making me feel better. This part and this part worked, but I need more of this or less of this or whatever. You can figure that out when you can do your experimentation. And honestly, that's how I got where I am with knowing what to do. Now, that's not to say that talking to somebody who is certified, a certified nutrition specialist, certified personal trainer, those kind of people will be able to handcraft things that are a lot closer to what you need right off the bat than a cookie cutter thing off of a website will be. But if you don't have the money or the access or whatever to one of those people, that's a good place to start. So with that, I'm going to leave you. Hopefully you guys have some information that you can use to go out and get your nutrition goals and your fitness goals and achieve them. I love to hear what your goals are, so if you want to throw those in the comments, go ahead and do that. For my shiagedo students, remember we got our Zoom classes on Friday. Guest instructor next Friday is going to be Sensei Kelly Sear. She's awesome. She's an 8th degree black belt Isshin Ryu Karate. She's going to be coming for both the kids and the adult class. We're still doing our Avatar Challenge workout for the whole month. If you want to take part in it and you're running a little behind, don't worry about it. You can start it whenever. I love seeing you guys, working out, and I'll be here to cheer you on. And lastly, one of the biggest things is our YouTube channel just went public. So now, Sensei Steve Says, what it used to be was all of my videos were just for my students to help keep them practicing throughout the quarantine. But now what I've realized is there's a lot of parents out there who need something for their kids to do. There's a lot of kids looking for stuff to do. There's a lot of adults looking elsewhere for instruction. So we decided to make our YouTube videos public. They're free. You can access all of them. If you're one of my students at Shiage Do Martial Arts, you can have access to our dojo expert stuff, which gives you a little bit of extra. But if you're not one of our Shiagedo students and you want access to some of that extra, access to the Zoom classes, we have a Patreon account set up, which will get you access, depending on the level of your donation. It either buys me a coffee, which I desperately need all the time, all the way up to having access to me, to our Zoom classes, to be able to ask questions and that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for, the whole class experience, even if you can't get, necessarily to class, that'll give you a head start. With that, that's all I've got. You guys are awesome. I hope you guys are having a great time. Even in quarantine, train hard and get after it. You guys are dismissed. Us!